About the range of trade in Bovey before the last war, please.
The range of trade was really complete. We were more or less self-sufficient in everything except a furniture shop as such. And furniture could be made anyway locally by the local carpenters. For instance, we had 7 or 8 grocery shops, half a dozen dairies, 5 bakeries, just the 1 wine shop. That was considered enough in those days. And we had 2 gentlemen's tailors, half a dozen ladies outfitters and haberdashers, 2 or 3 carpenters, garages of course, which alternated between horse and trap and cars in those days.
Shoe shops?
Oh yes, we had 2 or 3 shoe shops, 3, 4 in fact altogether. Butchers we had much the same as we have now, 1, 2, 3, 4. They seem to have kept going fairly well. We had 2 chemists, a massive little general shop, sweets and greengrocery, that sort of thing.
Ironmonger?
Yes, we had 2 ironmongers, and a forge, of course, which made machinery, farm machinery mainly, and shoed horses. We had a big timber yard at the bottom of the town. We drew in timber from the woods and processed it and sold it again. Several builders. There was only 1 electricity shop in my young day, and that was at the bottom of the town.
Did you have anything like bookshop?
Not a bookshop as such. We had newsagents, of course. There were just 2 of them, 2 fairly big ones, and of course there were a couple of saddleries.
What you notice about Bovey now is the number of little restaurants. Was there anything like that then?
No, there was nothing like that then. The only place you could have had a meal would have been at just a couple of the public houses. There were no restaurants as such. Nobody could afford it, anyway. Nobody was thought of going out. And then the ordinary pub didn't do any meals at all. I mean, it was a pub pure and simple. Just had drinks. And of course ladies didn't go into them unless they were accompanied, and then it was only on very rare occasions.
Did you have anything pre-war linked with the tourist industry at all?
Several of the small guest houses and hotels sort of specialised in, they advertised as being a gateway to the moor, and they used to run, the Dolphin for instance used to run coach loads up over the moors for day trips. In fact, they started back when it was just horse-drawn chaise. I don't know if it was a general saying, but there used to be a saying here in Bovey that there were 3 classes, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. When you got to the bottom of Haytor Hills, 1st class passengers remained seated, 2nd class passengers got out and walked, and 3rd class got out and pushed.
On the trade side in the town, were they usually family businesses?
Oh yes, yes, 100% more or less. It was all. There were no. Well, the only cooperatives, I suppose, was the actual co-op itself, and there was the Star Supply Stores, which was a forerunner to the International, and they were big national affairs, but with just the local connection. And of course, the co-op itself, in those days, they were run locally. They had its own. I forget what they called it now, but they were run by the local members. Yeah. But everything else, all the other shops, were pure and simple local family people. And the family ran it more or less, father, mother, and children they had, depending on the size of the business.